Am I the asshole for not banning my wife's dog from our home, even though my son is suddenly allergic to it? I have a son from my first marriage that I have 50-50 custody of. We alternate weeks. My now wife used to work in another state, and she has 2 daughters. We dated long distance, and I would see her every other week when I traveled for work. My son has met her and her daughters many times, and we moved slow. We only married after the kids were okay with it. My wife finally got a new job here 3 months ago, and we bought a house together in the same city that my son and I live in. Her kids are still adjusting to the move and are not thrilled. The problem now is with my ex, my son, and my wife's 6-year-old German Shepherd. My son has met this dog many times before and has had no issues before. Well, after we bought the house and my wife brought the dog here permanently, there has been a whole disaster. Remember that my son has seen this dog many times before with no issues, and there is no known history of dog allergies. But now it seems like he's having a mild reaction to the dog all of a sudden. It's some redness around his eyes and sniffling. An allergist has confirmed this. My ex has gone absolutely crazy, more than usual, and refused to let my son over unless the dog is removed. She's also not approving the use of antihistamines if the reaction is bothering him. I ended up spending $40,000 to renovate our basement so that my son would have a living space that is totally separate from the dog. I also bought several air purifiers and a vacuum and scrub everything every single day when he's living here. It's exhausting, but the moment he complains of a possible reaction, my ex takes him back to her house even though it's my custody time. Now it appears that my son is listening to his mother and making ultimatums that he won't be coming over unless we get rid of the dog. You can see why this is difficult for me. My wife and stepdaughter are completely attached to their dog. My wife is beside herself and is now saying that she regrets buying the house together. But we are stuck with the house for a while because of financial reasons. I really thought the separate living area was a good compromise. It's much nicer than the rest of the house, and I'm down there the entire time he is. I'm just so sick of my ex constantly trying to run my life, and I refuse to put my wife and stepdaughters through something as traumatic as giving up their dog. My ex told me yesterday that I was putting the dog over my son's needs, and it broke my heart. That is not what I'm doing, and it's killing me that he's hearing this from her. Am I the asshole here? My son is 13, and I don't know how much longer I'll be able to force him to come live with me on my time. In the comments, Oldhead says, Info. What in your custody agreement makes it okay that your wife has refused to allow your son to come or refused to allow him to take antihistamine or any other medication? What she seems to forget is she's no longer your wife, and while she has a say over what does and does not happen with her child, she has no say in what goes on in your home as long as you are tending to the safety and well-being of your child. Like, oh, I don't know, putting on a $40,000 addition for a separate living space? OP says, the way it's written, both parents' consent is required for medical decisions. My ex also buys into a lot of conspiracy theories that my son is now also starting to believe. Half the Revolution says, not the asshole, I think. It seems like his allergy is pretty mild, and you've gone above and beyond to accommodate it. He's 13, not a little kid. He can take medicine if all he gets are the sniffles. It's not really fair for your wife to have to get rid of her dog for some sneezes. However, if his allergy is any more serious than you're letting on, it's more of a problem. Regardless, your ex is being a real asshole. She should not be interfering in this so heavily, and she should not be doing so by playing up the issue to your son and making him upset with you over it. Have you sat your son down and talked to him about it one-on-one? OP says, it is a mild allergy for sure. That's even how the allergist put it. But my ex has been convincing my son that it's worse than it actually is, and they are both overreacting. I have tried talking to him several times, but when his own mother is contradicting me, he's obviously confused and is just siding with her. Trash Panda Amanda says, not the asshole. You worked really hard to come up with a compromise and spent $40,000 to do it. Your ex is being completely unreasonable. It may be time to take her back to court. Oh, he built a dungeon to keep his teenaged son in. Yeah, no teenager will love being locked in the basement when he visits his dad. A dungeon? It sounded like the kid got his own apartment. What kid doesn't want his own apartment? Seriously though, you might want to get back in touch with a lawyer, OP. Yeah, especially when it comes to someone that is down the conspiracy theory dark rabbit hole kind of content. That's not good. You're not going to get any reasonable middle ground or any reason at all, full stop, from a person like that. I can see why you would come to the internet, OP, for advice around a situation like this and where she may be coming from, if you can deal with this situation without going to the courts or spending money on lawyers for something like this. Completely understand that, but the fact that she is such a conspiracy theorist tells me all I need to know. I have made all my assumptions up about her. It tells me exactly how much parental alienation you're going to be experiencing, and the fact that anytime he shows any allergies, she rips him away from you and breaks the custody agreement, and then starts saying, "Oh, I can do that because there's technicalities in our agreement, so you have to listen to me." Yeah, no, I think it's time to rip the kitty gloves off and get straight to the lawyers about this and rewrite that contract. She's playing some stupid bullshit game. You should fight fire with fire in this situation and change the agreement so that she can't do this. Because I think she's taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of your kindness, and just being an asshole. So I hope that you're able to fix this. And now, onto the update, titled, "My son and ex lied about the severity of his allergies, forcing me to give my wife's family dog away. How do I fix this? The situation is honestly tearing my family apart. My son from my first marriage is 14 now. When I got married to my now wife a year and a bit ago, everything was going great. We did things by the book and made sure the kids were happy before we got married. Once we got married, my wife moved to the state where my son and I live. We bought a house together. My wife and stepdaughters had a 6-year-old German Shepherd. My son met this dog several times before and had no issues. After we moved in together, my son started getting mild reactions to the dog. The doctor said antihistamines would be a simple fix, but my ex refused to let him take them. As a result, I completely renovated our basement to the point that it's nicer than the rest of the house, just so my son could have a dog-free space. I spent a lot of money doing this. This wasn't enough, and my son, with my ex in the sidelines, gave me the ultimatum of him or the dog. At this point, we had had months of conflict, and my son leaving early anytime he had discomfort. So after discussing with my wife, we made the heartbreaking decision to let someone else adopt the dog because we didn't want my son to feel like we picked a dog over him. My stepdaughters were devastated, but were very understanding. My son resumed seeing me as per the schedule, and it seemed to be working out. Until Christmas, when my ex bought a dog for her family. And my son is freely taking antihistamines now without any complaints. This has obviously not gone over well with my wife and stepdaughters. The kids are fighting non-stop with my son, who is not even being remotely remorseful. My wife is incredibly upset and angry, and I feel like a fool who fell for a very cruel trick. I talked to my son about this, who just seems to avoid the subject. My ex has basically been very rude and flippant about the whole thing. My stepdaughters have said they'll never forgive my son, and I'm just left here wondering how I salvage this. And family therapy isn't an option because my ex opposes therapy. I'm saving to change our custody order because my ex is abusing clauses that let her deny certain medical treatments that she disagrees with. I'm also feeling very betrayed by my son. I know he's being caught in the middle, but his subsequent attitude has been very disappointing. In the comments, Polite Cranberry says, "Yeah, this kid needs therapy. Family therapy may be good for the half that can get it in the meantime, so they can process their loss better. So sorry, by the way. My parents' German Shepherd is my best friend, and I'm allergic to her, so this is making me have all kinds of feels. He is devious, in pain, and I'm concerned Mum may be refusing therapy because she's purposefully poisoning and manipulating the son against you, and a therapist would see through that. Quote, my son with my ex in the sidelines gave me the ultimatum of him or the dog. She knew that if he asked, the choice would be more difficult. Quote, my son leaving early anytime he had discomfort. He knows you don't want him to leave, so you'll avoid making him uncomfortable, which basically trains you to be a doormat. Have you spoken directly with your son about this? He needs to understand the gravity of what his actions have caused. So please don't minimize you or your family's feelings about this while speaking with him. He needs to understand the consequences of his actions, and if he can't, won't, or doesn't care, I'll just hope extra hard that the custody stuff works out so that you can put him in therapy. OP replies, I have talked to him many times, and he knows how much it killed my wife and stepdaughters to let the dog go. I'm so disappointed with how remorseless he is, and I have no idea how I can bring this family together again. I know that my ex is definitely manipulating him, but surely he should have some empathy for himself. Deleted says, quote, and I have no idea how I can bring this family together again. You don't. And you seek therapy to accept that your inability to do that is not your fault. It is your wife's, and to a lesser extent your son's. He's old enough that he had a say in his actions. Do not do the wrong things because you're chasing after some hopeless dream of a fairy tale reunion and the family getting back together. Do right by your daughters, do right by your son by making him face consequences for his truly heinous actions. If he's mad at you, well, sometimes that's part of being a good parent. OP replies, I'm not sure what kind of consequences I can even give. His own mother is apparently orchestrating all of this. He's not a badly behaved kid, it was just this one thing, but the one thing turned out to be a huge deal. I don't know. I feel like I can't do anything right. And on to the latest update, titled, Today I fucked up by being a shit dad and doing the same thing I accused my ex of. So I've posted this situation on Reddit before. Long story short, we ended up giving away my wife's family dog because my son developed a mild allergy after we'd already bought a house and moved in together. My ex refused to let my son take antihistamines and goaded my son into making an ultimatum, him or the dog. Well, last Christmas, we were shocked to find out that my ex got a dog and started my son on antihistamines. We felt completely betrayed, especially my wife and stepdaughters. My stepdaughters were extremely upset with my son, and we had to keep them separated. I then decided to be stupid and petty and start legal proceedings to gain full custody based on my ex buying a dog. I said I didn't want my son on toxic medication like she did, but I honestly just wanted revenge. In response, my ex also gave her dog away. A month ago, my son moved out of my ex's house to my parents' house. He said he wasn't going to live with neither my ex nor me. I went over really pissed because I thought this was him playing into my ex's schemes. Instead, I sat and watched him cry and say that now everyone at both houses hates him and he's being bullied. And he included my ex and I as the ones bullying him. I felt like I was shot through my heart. I realized I'd done exactly what I was accusing my ex of, using my son as a pawn in our conflict. When did I become this disgusting person? How did I let myself become such a terrible father? His face was filled with so much hurt and sadness. He was already getting shit at my home from my stepdaughters, and I'd managed to make the kids at my ex's house dislike him too. What I'd interpreted as being remorseless was actually him putting walls up because he was feeling attacked. I'm so ashamed of myself. My dad told me he was very disappointed in my actions last week. I sat in my car and wept. I'm disappointed in myself too. I created a mediation appointment with my ex, and she actually participated. She also seemed to be full of regret. We came to an agreement to stop fucking up our son's happiness just because we were assholes. But I'm not sure if we can salvage the situation with our son. He's cut both my ex and me off completely, and I can't even blame him. I just had to get this out. I haven't been able to sleep for a while now. I tried calling my son today again, and he actually answered this time. He told me he hated me. To hear your child say that he hates you and actually mean it is the worst feeling in the world. In the comments, Tittlemouth says, my ex constantly manipulated things with my son, doing a lot of damage to him, me, my wife, and our daughter. The one thing I never did was stoop to her level. In the end, my ex went too far, and my son has been living with me, no contact with her, for over 2 years. She's done nothing to reconnect with him. This guy had $40,000 to drop on a renovation and didn't hire a lawyer to rain hellfire and brimstone on her without fucking things up? My lawyer would never have allowed me to bring that kind of case, even if I'd wanted to. Late Association says, best take here, go to court for the overstepping ex. What? Good for you not being the low person. You gave your son a safe place. I was gonna say, why didn't he just tell the judge that his ex was violating the custody agreement and fight for that, instead of going the petty route? He should have just told the judge the truth, that the ex refused the meds for the son and caused OP to have to rehome his dog, his family's dog, just months before getting her own and providing the son's meds. That's a very clear-cut case of one person being petty. Turning the ultimatum around on the ex was just about the stupidest thing that OP could do. Pretty sure the judge would have been more pissed at the medical neglect that she was so openly doing and judged on that. If I were OP, I would have gone back for that, and then if I got a positive result, would have gone civil after that and wanted her to pay for all of the costs that I paid that were ultimately pointless because she was weaponizing the son. He shouldn't have had to pay $40,000 for the renovation since she was using the son as a tool. OP should have spent the $40,000 on attorney's fees initially, rather than building a basement apartment. I gasped when I read that the ex got a dog. Like, that made me so angry on the new wife and stepdaughter's behalf. And I still think the kid was showing no remorse, and now he's blaming the whole thing on his parents and running away from his own guilt. Yeah, there were so many times within this story that different actions could have been taken, and therapy could have been a great mediator for everyone. Could have stopped a lot of the bullshit happening in this story, I think. And honestly, I'm in agreement with that last comment. I don't think this son is entirely guiltless in this situation. Like, yes, he is 13 to 14 years old. He is young and inexperienced, but you had so many conversations with him. You tried so much to get through to him, and I'm sure his mum did so much manipulating behind the scenes as well, but yet he listens to her and not to you, and now he blames the both of you. But he doesn't recognize that you tried so much early on to not have this outcome happen. I understand you, OP, did wrong by being petty through the courts and doing exactly what she did and showing that you were just like her. But surely he recognizes that you tried not to do that, that you spent all of this time and money on the house in the first go-round to accommodate him, to make sure that he had as comfortable a living situation as possible. If this to me was an Am I the Arsehole story, I would genuinely give everyone an everyone sucks here verdict for this one. Everyone did wrong, including the son. I hope that you're able to fix the situation as it is now, and that everyone can mature and learn from their mistakes that they've made in this situation. I myself would hate to be caught in the middle of all of this. This is just a nightmare. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the updates, OP. That was quite the adventure. Good luck with your future with them. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.